Hi, welcome to JJ's Productions, and we've got another Stoke City Vlogcast. Now, this one's a little bit different because we're doing a mid-season review, and it's not technically mid-season as we've had 2 games since the mid-season point, but it's about as close as we could get it. So we're going to just try and talk about what's gone on in the first half of the season. With me as always, by the way, is Jan. And how are you doing for this video?
I'm alright. It's a good job I've made notes for it that way.
So, best way to start would be going into the pre-season a little bit and just thinking, we got Gary Rowett in, we'd made a couple of signings, we hadn't made all of the signings that we've made, but we did bring a few in. We had a few troublemakers still at the club, like Badu and Dai, Eric Maxim Choupo-Moting, and it wasn't a happy camp by all accounts. So, were you surprised in hindsight we got that result, or we lost at Leeds, or should we have done better?
No, I wasn't surprised at all that we lost. In fact, it would have been a shock if we had have won.
I mean, it was a bad first game in the sense, not just the performance, but I remember at the time I was saying I was more worried about the Brentford game the week after, because yes, Leeds were potentially a bad game, but we didn't know what the new guy Marcelo Bielsa would be like, and as it turns out he's been quite good.
Yes,
I was more worried about what I knew would be tough with Brentford the week ahead than what could be tough with Leeds, and it didn't turn out well.
I think it come to a bit of a shock actually to the players. Ooh. How good Leeds were.
Well, that day I saw a team that run for the teammates as much as anything, and then I saw a team that were all individuals and hadn't got a clue.
They weren't a team, that's for sure.
And it's still a criticism I could have of the team right now, that they still look like a team of individuals at times rather than a team working together, and I'm not exactly sure what Gary Rowett can do to remedy that in the future.
Yeah, I mean, I've got to be honest, for the first 6-7 games, they weren't a team.
No.
You'd have thought that they'd just met for the first time, all of them.
Yeah, it was a very bad time. I mean, when you think, we'd started Badu and Dai in that fixture. The idea was, alright, you want a move away, well, you're going to have to earn it. And he didn't earn it, yet he got the move, so that set a bad precedent to begin with. But besides that, there was just this awkward feeling around the whole thing. Like, for example, we'd been bigging up Berahino in the pre-season, saying he's looking sharper. Then, first game of the season, he's not in the squad. And it turns out it's because we needed a youth player on the bench, but it's still a bit awkward because then, why wasn't he involved at all? I mean, as it's turned out, Bojan's not a Gary Rowett favourite, yet he was on the bench that day. So it's like the start of a story of weird decisions, and they carry on.
I think it's still carrying on now that we don't understand Rowett's way of thinking.
I mean, the next game, Brentford, if I remember right, he started Bojan in that game. I think Afobe got on score sheet again, so Afobe did start the season well. But again, we were just terrible defensively. I mean, I remember watching the goals that day and I thought, we're letting him in for fun.
Yeah.
I mean, we started Fletcher that day as well instead of because Ndai was out of the squad.
Yeah.
And he just looked so off the pace, it was unbelievable. And I don't think it's, I feel sorry for him. I've said this a few times that, age has caught up with him, but this is the trouble that we've sort of allowed him to stay on. Yeah. And that day in particular, Fletcher just looked like an has-been in the sense that he couldn't keep up with those around him, let alone the opposition team.
Yeah, see, this is what worries me about all the pensioners we've got. I hate to say it, but we've got to draw a line now.
I mean, the awkward thing that game as well was that we'd got Peter Etebo in during the summer. He started the first game at Leeds but didn't impress, but then he didn't get a chance in the second game unless it was off the bench. And you're thinking, surely give him a run of games. I know he'd had the World Cup, but give him a run of games to get used to his teammates. But instead, we put Fletcher in. And in hindsight, that was a bad move again because you're trusting a guy who's not really impressed.
Yeah.
Well,
it's like we've said, up until the last 3 games, he's kept the same sheet apart from Eric this time because he was injured. But that is the first time all season that he's actually kept the team.
Well, moving on to other weird decisions, that was also the last time we saw Maurice Bauer in the league, to my recollection.
Yes, yeah.
He played the first 2 games and since has been bombed out of the squad. Now, I can believe that it's a tactical decision, because one criticism that I can believe of him is that he's a little bit tactically naive. He goes for balls he shouldn't go for. He makes forward runs when he shouldn't. But equally, I can't help but think you're a coach. Coach him. You know, and maybe he would offer us more than what Martina and Edwards, who's growing, are right now.
Yeah.
So I am curious what's going on there.
I mean, in my opinion, I think he tells Rowett what he thinks.
Which
doesn't go down well with any coach manager.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, if a player is trying to dictate to a manager what goes on, there has to be zero tolerance. I don't care what club, what manager, you don't take it.
Well, just look at Man United, Pogba. You know, I mean, with Mr. Beautiful. Mourinho, yeah. I mean, he wasn't taking any of it, so we dropped him.
Yeah.
You know, and it's like we should do here.
It's what is awkward, though, that Rowett could pay the price for that.
Yeah.
In the sense that, you know, a player could eventually kick a manager out all because of maybe him not playing that well.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's a little bit awkward. But moving on again, Preston, I thought that was a okay game. It was certainly the best of the first 3. In the sense that, yeah, it was a draw again, but I thought we seemed to at least be getting into a better run of form somewhere.
I could have sworn we lost.
No, we did get a draw. I think what happened, if I remember right, Preston took the lead twice, but we came back twice. I think Crouch got a goal.
Oh, right.
Yeah, it's been a while, August.
I thought it was 2-0 to Preston.
No, we got a draw that day. It was the game after that was a bit of a shock. The 3-0 loss to Wigan at home.
Yeah.
And I think going into that game, I had a bit of hope in the sense that Wigan were, you know, a promoted team. Even though we were a relegated team, I was just hoping a bit of Premier League class would show. And we got torn apart in the first half, pretty much. You know, they rounded it off in the second, but...
My favourite word, abysmal.
Yeah.
To lose 3-0 at home, abysmal.
I mean, Ashley Williams was pathetic getting sent off as he did. I mean, Nick Powell was clever.
He was very clever.
You know, he knew he could get Williams sent off and he played to it. So I'm not criticising Powell for that, because I'd want a Stoke player doing the same thing.
Yeah.
You know, just in the sense of, you know, if you can get a player sent off and get an advantage, take it. But equally, it's a case of Williams is the older player. He should have been experienced enough to say, right, I've got to calm down, otherwise this guy's going to get me done here.
But no, he went as far as he could with him, and off he went.
But anyway, next game, Hull City. We got our first win of the season.
Yay!
But for the life of me, I can't really remember much about that game. I mean, we're looking at the results as we're going along here, and it says 2-0, but I can't remember who scored that day, and I can't even remember the red card that happened in the game. So it is quite surprising when you go through it and you're thinking, you know, our first win of the season should have been something that really stuck out. Yet, for the life of me, I can't remember anything about it. Yeah, I think it wasn't the one where Berahino scored, because I remember that was the next game against Huddersfield, but I think we might have got... It wasn't Bruno, was it? It was...
Well,
I think there was a weird score, someone who you wouldn't anticipate scoring.
Well, I've just got here that Ryan should have been dropped. I mean, I'm just going with my notes of what I put, and I can't see. I didn't put who scored the goal. Sorry, son.
Have a look at the next page, because that might have been it.
No, I didn't make a note on it.
But yeah, it's like I say, we have just gone on a tangent there with our notes, but I think it just goes to show it was a very unmemorable game, despite it being a win.
Yeah.
The Huddersfield one was more memorable. I mean, it was a good cup win. You know, we saw a first goal for Saido Berahino for Stoke City, and we got quite a glorious own goal for Huddersfield.
Yeah.
I'm going to say, I think that might go down as Stoke's goal of the season come the end, to be fair. Sorry, Tom Ince. I know you might want that one at Reading, but I think Juninho Bakuna might win it. But yeah, so we got 2 wins on the bounce, and I think we're all a bit excited and hopeful, and then reality came crashing back down again when we went to West Brom.
Yes. Yes.
You know, scoreline said 2-1, but the performance Stoke put in wasn't 2-1.
No, it wasn't. It was dire.
I mean, I've just remembered Eric scored one at Preston, he scored a second at West Brom, and I remember him coming out after saying, just to quote him, he said, "Me crossing is shit, but my shooting's getting better." And I thought, well, that sort of sums up how Eric was at the time. You know, at least he was trying to look at the positives, but that was the last goal he scored up to now, so maybe he needs to start shooting more and crossing less.
Well, this is what I was going to say. Just keep shooting, Eka. You know, I think you're better than crossing, like Joshy says.
Okay, so we're getting to the point now, which is the critical point, because before the next game against Sheffield Wednesday, Gary Rowett came out to the press. The September part of the loan window had ended, and he made a statement saying, "Now you can judge me. Now I've got my own players. Now you can judge me."
Yeah.
So I think everyone really took that as a statement. You know, I don't think anyone misheard that. It was like, right, now you can say what you like after this.
Yeah.
And 2-2 draw at Wednesday. By all accounts, the first half was our best half of the season. At the time, anyway.
Yeah.
You know, we really did impress, but what has become a recurring theme this season, even though we took the lead, we didn't hang on. You know, it was a case of Wednesday found it too easy to get back into the game, and come the end of the match, I think we were lucky to get a draw. And you're thinking, this is just one instance of something that keeps recurring, and I am wondering what Rowett has got in mind in January to fix it, because this isn't just one game, it has happened so many times this season.
Yeah.
So, moving on, we got a game against Swansea in midweek, and that was a good game in the sense of I did enjoy the performance. Again, what I actually enjoyed most of all is we did hang on that time. We did get a win, a 1-0 win at that, and we did get a clean sheet, which was vital for us. But equally, I can't help but look and go, was it just a bit of a fluke? Because I remember Graham Potter's side were a little bit weak that day, or at least it wasn't what I think he would consider his strongest 11. So,
was it a Fope who scored?
I can't remember off the top of my head. I think it might have been Joe Allen.
Yeah.
Might have been, but I can't say for certain. Let me have a look. Yeah, it was Joe Allen, which doesn't surprise me. He always seems to score against Swansea.
Yeah.
But, the Swansea game was a good barometer as far as I think they've been doing well under Graham Potter, even if the league position hasn't always reflected it. But yeah, it's a little bit. It's like a false dawn as far as the season went, because once again we have a game at the weekend and we get beaten 3-2 by Blackburn even. And that was when the protests pretty much started, and Gary Rowett himself came out with quite a memorable radio interview. And he blamed Ryan for the loss. He also pointed the finger at the back line in general, but he pretty much singled out Ryan. And Ryan didn't play again for a while after that. I think he didn't come back into the side until about mid-October, early November. So it took a while for Ryan to get back in from that point.
Yeah.
And even now I'm at a point where I'm thinking, should he be back in the side? It's not necessarily that he's played bad all of the time he's been back in, but it's a case of, I think Williams and Martins Indi weren't doing bad as a partnership. And I think Martins Indi especially is unlucky to be on the bench over Ryan.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, I love our Ryan, you know, but I definitely think he's got to be dropped.
Unfortunately, I mean, again, I've said this in the Bolton preview, but I take no pleasure in saying that. But I think if a player isn't performing well, whether they're captain, whether they're a long-serving player, they should be pushed aside, essentially, for someone who could be in better form. And I think Martins Indi's got the better potential right now.
Yeah. I mean, we should win games at home.
Yeah.
But it doesn't matter what league we're in, but we should always win games at home.
I mean, that Blackburn game was atrocious.
Yeah.
And, you know, I think the fact that Rowett was so strong in his post-match interview indicated how bad he felt it was.
Yeah.
And he did make changes for the next game, it's got to be said. We had a League Cup tie against Nottingham Forest. And, yeah, we did make changes.
Yeah.
What I would say there, though, is that, yes, we got knocked out of the Cup, but what it did do, it offered us a glance at a bit of a fight-back spirit that is in the team. Now, it's something that at the time I hadn't really thought we had, But we did show both in the Blackburn game, the Nottingham Forest game, and the next game against Rotherham that if we do go behind, we can come back. As long as, we're actually playing well or well enough.
Now, personally, the Rotherham draw was my biggest disappointment.
It was a disappointment in the sense that I think if we'd have won that, we'd have made a statement that we can beat lower teams at their home, away from home for us. And I remember going into it, there was a commentary on the tally about Rotherham being unbeaten at home, or at least having a very good, strong home record. And I thought we really need to beat them here just to sort of make a statement saying Stoke can do this. And we pretty much rolled over and showed them our valleys.
Yes, we did.
And I don't think it was completely intentional, because first half, even though we didn't score, we played well. But then we came out second half and conceded 2 goals in a matter of minutes. And you're thinking, again, we've got to fight back. And credit to the players, they did fight back.
Yeah.
But we shouldn't have been 2-0 down.
No, we shouldn't.
And it goes back to what we've been saying a lot throughout this season. We start slow. Not just at the start of games, but the start of halves.
Yeah.
And we can't afford it all the time.
No, we can't.
It does make you wonder what is said in the dressing room to cause such slow starts. And again, anyone in that dressing room, answers on a postcard, please.
I mean, it's like we've said that when they come out of the tunnel, they've done all the shaking hands and all that garbage. Then Ryan should get them in the semicircle, like in a circle, like most teams do.
A huddle.
Yeah. And really rile them on and say, come on now, you've got to do it and play this and do that and whatever you might say, I don't know.
Yeah. But it doesn't seem to gee him up.
No, it doesn't.
I mean, in fairness, we're saying that, the Rotherham game, he didn't play, he was on the bench.
No.
So Ryan Woods is the one we're looking at there, but, he just taken over the captaincy temporarily, so I can sort of forgive that of him, but equally watching him, he doesn't appear that type of player.
No.
So, again, that is sort of what we need to get this window. We need to get someone who can grab players by the scruff of the necks and try and demand a certain standard of performance.
I mean, I think Jack would make a good captain, but he isn't in the middle of the field to do it.
It's not just that, though. For me, the problem with Jack is that, one, he seems to be angling for a move from the club, whether we go up or not. And besides that, I get the feeling that the other players would view him as a captain with that in mind. Whether he did leave in January or left in the summer, I think between now and then, they would think, oh, why should I listen to you? You're going.
Yeah.
So I think he's lost a lot of respect in the dressing room for that. Maybe I'm misreading it, but that is how I'm viewing that situation. And it's all down to changing agents with him.
One who should be captain is Martin
Zindi.
Martin Zindi. I mean, he'd only have to look at me with them eyes and I'd think, I will do whatever you want, sir.
Oh, I miss Abdullah Fire for that.
Yeah.
But, I do think there needs to be a leadership change, but the trouble is I don't think the correct leader is at the club. So we might need to go and have a look and find someone who's got that characteristic in them.
Yep.
Moving on, though, we're coming up against Bolton, who we haven't seen the away game against Bolton, so that'll be our next game as it stands.
And we've covered that anyway in our preview, so we'll move on to Norwich.
One thing I would say, though, is that was the last time Bojan started a game, which is just an interesting little caveat, because we did put in a good performance for the most part that day, even though Bojan himself had a poor game, or maybe not a poor game, but a 6 out of 10 game, shall we call it.
Yeah.
So, I think that's just interesting as far as the review goes. Moving on, we got a win at Norwich, which I don't think anyone can discredit. I think how Norwich have played this season, looking at as well at the Boxing Day game where they came from 3-0 down to draw 3-3, you can't help but look and go, Norwich have been a very tough opponent this season.
Well, if you'd have said to me that Stoke are going to beat Norwich at home, I'd have said you're having a giraffe, love.
Yeah, they've been the surprise package for me. I think Leeds were expected to be up there to a degree, Whether they would was another matter, but they were expected to
yeah.
be. Whereas I think everyone thought Norwich would sort of maybe challenge for the playoffs, but wouldn't get there. So to actually be up there at this point of the season as part, challenging for the title.
Yeah,
it's definitely a surprise, and for us to get a win there, even though it wasn't the greatest of performances, again, I think it was a good smash and grab from Stoke.
Again, we've covered Birmingham.
Well,
so I can't see any point.
Might as well just.
They've done the double over us, and I hope that's the only double.
Well, the way I see it is Birmingham didn't just do the double over us, they actually double whammied us. They did the same performance twice. We didn't learn the lessons from the first one, so I'm really annoyed at that. But yeah, the next one's a weird game, Sheffield United away, because a point away from home is not a bad thing. Yet for 80 minutes, we played absolutely terrible. And then Joe Allen gets a goal from a free kick, which I never thought I'd say. And suddenly we look like we could get a winner. And it's like, why do we need to sort of have a goal to push us on? Why can't we actually start like that? Why do we need sort of an inciting incident to get us going? It's so frustrating because United played well that day and they probably think, how did they get a point?
I think it's like darts. If the player who goes first is only going 41s and 60s, the second player will do the same. Then if they score 180, they'll score good.
Now,
and I think this is same as football. Well, Stoke, actually.
I get your mentality there, but equally, I'm thinking of the last two games against Birmingham and Millwall. Both times they started off with what I would call a 180 if we're using the darts metaphor, and we rallied with a 40. So, I sort of get where you're coming from with the idea of raising your game, but that is part of the problem. Stoke aren't raising the game. If the opposition start well, we cower, at least for the first 20 odd minutes, and if, as it turned out against Birmingham, we didn't rally at all. So it's very awkward looking at these results, because there are good results in here. This was after Birmingham, it's when we started the unbeaten run. And you get a win at Bristol City, which we talked to a Bristol City fan via the comment section on YouTube. By the way, if you're watching this, leave a comment. And I'll admit, I was surprised when he was saying he thought we'd beat them. Yeah, he was proven right, unfortunately, for him, because, he seemed a nice guy. But, unfortunately, we got the win in that sense because, I didn't... As much as I want Stoke to win, I felt very sorry for him and how pitiful he sounded as a Bristol City supporter. So
the next two games, I thought were good results, personally.
Even now I think they were good results. I mean, I don't care where we are in the table, getting a draw against Middlesbrough and a draw at Forest, I think both of them are good points. Yes, they were dire as far as scorelines go, but we actually didn't do bad for keeping clean sheets. I'm happy to take them because, you can't discredit a point against them too.
No.
Even though I have heard that Forest are considering sacking Aita Karanka and they're in 10th position. So I'm listening to that and thinking, whoever the Forest board are, if they sack him, they are mad. Because one, I don't know who they could bring in who's better for him right now, but two, Karanka, even though he's maybe off target, he's got the pedigree to actually get on target. So I'd be really frustrated for Forest supporters if the board throw him into chaos again. But the way I see it is, it's an opening for Stoke if that's the case, so I have to weigh it up. Moving on, we're coming into the final third of the first half of the season, and we had a draw against QPR.
Yeah, this is where I felt sorry for Tom Edwards. He'd had a good match, and then he just made a mistake, and it just went downhill for him a bit then.
Yeah, I mean, I've got a lot of time for Tom, and I felt really bad that he got dropped after this game because, if anything, I think in the episode prior to the game I'd said if he makes a mistake in the coming games, he's got to be kept in the team.
Yeah.
And for the life of me, I don't know why Rowett dropped him.
No.
If anything, Martina didn't do bad in the following game against Derby, but he hasn't impressed since.
No. But, as I say, he'd had a good match, Tom had, and then it just went a bit downbank for him.
it is where I do believe Rowett suffers from managerial inferiority complex, where if the fans are demanding something because they've got a favourite, like Bojan for midfield or Edwards because he's the local lad at right back, he likes to not pick them.
Yeah.
You know,
yeah.
and he's not the only manager who does it. Tony Pulis used to make a habit of it.
Yeah.
And at times Mark Hughes did as well. But I can't help but scratch my head sometimes and think, you know, there's 30-odd thousand of those Stoke fans out there. Maybe they know what they're saying.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, I know we're not coaches, but equally, surely there's a chance we can see something.
We've got a right to voice our opinion.
Yeah.
And I don't think Mr. Rowett likes it.
At times, I think he dismisses it,
Yeah.
which isn't good, because as soon as you start dismissing fan opinion, then you're not going to have them on your side. And if they're not on your side, it's a quick way to the exit door.
Right, move on to Derby, are we?
Yeah, and that was arguably the best performance of the season. I know I might have said that once or twice in this, but I think that is the general consensus, that the Derby game was the highlight.
Shame that Toby got sent off.
Yeah, I think it was
33rd minute, which was hard for us, really.
The only thing I can say about that is it was a blow at the time, yet even though we got a draw against Reading, a draw against Villa in the games he was missing, I don't think he would have improved the team for those games. You know, maybe he would have been an option as a sub, but it's not like I was there, you know, seeing the team sheet and going, God, we're missing Etebo. You know, I think that's part of his problem this season. He hasn't really cemented a place in the team, and I know that he's had the African Cup of, well, it's not the African Cup of Nations, but he's had to go to play for Nigeria a lot.
Yeah.
But equally, I can't help but look and think, you need to really make that position your own, because Woods started well, but he's drifted a bit in the last couple of months. Allen is more the reverse. He actually started poorly, but he's been coming on in the second half of this half season. And Klukas, he's really just taken
his first goal against Derby.
Yeah, I'm going to say good reference, but you know, Klukas has come on since he actually came back from injury, so Etebo has really got to take advantage of the fact that Woods isn't playing well and try and get that position. Because I don't see Allen or Klukas getting dropped right now, unless Klukas goes out wide. And to be honest, I think as soon as Etebo gets a start, he's got to put in a man of the match performance just to keep his place.
Yeah.
And, you know, that seems to be how it works at the moment. If you play well, you keep your place. So, fingers crossed, he can put in a good performance when he plays next.
Yeah.
If anything, just to make up for that red card. Because even though we got the win, it was a squeaky bum game, that.
Well, this is the next game is Reading, and this is the game that Terry Conroy, I thought he was going to walk out of the commentary box. He was up in arms how bad we were playing.
I mean, I don't blame him, because I know we got a point out of it, but again, it's just making hard work of teams that really weren't at the races. I mean, I'm not being horrible to Reading here, but I remember listening to the game and thinking, we should be taking these on. You know, there wasn't any threat about them, yet they somehow got a goal just before half time, and we're having to fight back again.
Yeah.
You know, we actually get into the lead, and then we concede in the last minute, and you're thinking, how do we do it every time?
Yeah. I mean, that goal at half time after half time, 49 minutes again.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know.
Don't you mean that was when we equalised? Sorry, because they scored before half time.
Yeah, in the 40, because there was a hold up, wasn't there?
Oh, so you counting added time, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, it's very strange. It's as if we just switch off.
Yeah.
You know, and at crucial times as well, because I know that every minute of the 90 is crucial, but it's as if we just lapse at the end of a half, and we've got to stop it somehow. Moving on again, we're on to Ipswich, and the only way I can describe that game is we won 2-0, but it could have easily been 0-0 and no one would have complained.
Yeah, I've put here, even though we won 2-0 against Ipswich, it still wasn't a game where you thought, blimey, we're great. You know, in fact, I've put here, I was on the edge of my bed thinking that Ipswich could score at any time.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just powering through because I won't get through to the final games, but Aston Villa, we did actually impress there, to the point that Villa supporters were saying, how are we not in the playoff spots?
Yeah.
So, you know, it was a good day that day, despite the draw.
Yeah.
But then we get a win against Millwall. Again, like the Ipswich game, it was very much against the run of play.
Yeah.
But we did all right. And I can't help but look, just looking at these results we've been describing on a whole,
Yeah.
and think, if we started games better, how many more points would we have? If we finished games better or finished halves better, how many more points would we have?
If we started the second half better, I think we'd do, a lot better. I'm feeling a bit down here, folks. I'm ever so sorry.
Well, the odd thing is, it is sort of how Stoke have been this season. It's enough to make your heart drop a little bit as a supporter, because it hasn't been a great half season.
No, it hasn't.
As a relegated team, I never thought it'd be easy to get promoted, but I think this half season has been harder than any of us would have thought, even those of us who were trying to keep on a pessimistic side. And what is really irritating me is that I think there are still a large number of Stoke supporters who've seen the money we've spent, they've seen the players we brought down with us, and are expecting us to be top end of the playoffs.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, there's still a large number of players who shouldn't be at this club. Even if they are, loyal players like Ryan. As we've said in the Bolton preview, Ryan really should be moving on at the end of this season. Not necessarily because we don't want him at the club, but because it's as if there's a natural coming together where it's a case of, right, this is the end.
Yeah.
It's not necessarily hostile, but a case of an amicable departure.
I've done all I can for you.
Yeah, and it's not even that I think he'd go abroad or something.
No.
I think he just wants a different challenge. I think he needs to be taken away from the responsibility of being like the leading figure of Stoke. And
I could see him going to Crewe, I could,
maybe
or, yeah.
a little bit low that I was thinking,
Yeah,
but
I mean, it's near home, which Kath would like, and I just don't know.
I mean, like I say, I don't think he'd drop that low personally. If anything, I think he'd go to another championship side, but I do think it would benefit him to have a different challenge in his career now, just because I think here he's too comfortable. I think he needs someone to push him on.
Somebody's got to take his slippers off him, haven't they?
I mean, if Tony Pulis stays at Borough, it wouldn't surprise me if he wasn't touted that way, because they worked well together in the past, and I think Ryan would appreciate a chance to go there again.
Anyway, at the Villa Stoke match, it was Joe and Tom who were the scorers. So,
well, the way I'm looking at it is Tom Ince, he's probably been our brightest spark this season. It's a shame we missed him for a few around the... well, we didn't miss him for a few, actually. We just lost him for the Forest game, but it was like a few weeks.
Yeah.
And it was a concern at that point, because I remember thinking, who's going to score the goals if he doesn't? Or at least who's going to create the chances if he doesn't? And that is the problem we've got, just no one creating chances.
Right, we're on to the Stoke Millwall game.
Done that, Doug?
Oh, have we?
Yeah.
I can't remember talking about that.
Well, I raced through and we didn't need to go through it, Doug. So, really, that is about it as far as the results go. But
right, I'll go back to sleep now then.
You're like the uncle in the little seat that you just prod awake and just go... Rah, 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 rah.
That's me.
But yeah, I mean... at this point, I just want to go through the general thoughts and what do you think we actually need to improve in January? Because there's a lot that needs to be done, really.
A defender.
That is a definite.
Right wing.
Do you mean left? Because I'm thinking right's where Tom plays.
Left wing, yes. I have to see where I'm standing.
Right, left.
But other than that, I don't think we're too bad. I think we've got to get rid of Darren Fletcher. He's no use to us now, I'm sorry to say that, but he isn't. And to be honest, yesterday Crouch come on and we sort of went a bit down bank.
Well, if I heard the stats right, once Crouch came on we didn't have a single shot. And he also only completed 3 out of his 10 passes, I think it was, or something along those lines.
Hasn't he just signed a new contract or something?
No.
No, I thought it kept him here.
No, if I'm right, the ones who are likely to be leaving in January are Adam, Joof and Bojan.
Mr. Joof?
Apparently.
Oh, God, I am sorry. Not. I'm
going to say, I have some sympathy for Joof. I know you don't, but for me, he did well in his first season at the club. He was joint top scorer of Johnny Walters, so he has got a goal scoring touch in him.
That's who we miss, me Johnny.
But for the love of money, I don't know where that goal scoring touch went, because he's lost it drastically since that season.
Dear, it's terrible. Bye-bye, Mr. Juve.
It's
nice knowing you.
I've got nothing against Mom. I think he's a nice guy, and if he does move on, I wish him the best of luck. But equally, it's a case of, we need better players, and unfortunately, Juve isn't one of them. And I think, if anything, selling Juve opens the door for Tyrese Campbell, which I think is something the club as a whole need to push more. They need to promote the younger players, even if it's only one or two at a time. Because, for example, that we haven't even discussed this, but the loss to Port Vale, the under-21s, that was a bad day off the field, but it wasn't a great day on the field. And I think there were a number of young players that day who didn't really take the chance.
Yeah, I've just seen that we're playing Shrewsbury. When's that, love?
That's the 5th of January.
I'm hoping I'm going to feel well enough to go there.
If we can get tickets, obviously.
If we can get tickets. I'm feeling hopeful that I can get to that one. And certainly I hope from the end of January, maybe mid-January, I can start getting the match again.
Mm-hmm. I mean, February might be more realistic.
Yeah.
This is mid-season review, and I think that would actually be something for us to talk about as well, in the sense that if you've been listening to the vlog for the past 4 or 5 months, I hope you've been able to put up with the fact that we are second-hand reporting for the most part.
I'm sat in my son's bedroom here.
Hey, that's second-hand... actually, that's first-hand commentating, so you're doing good in here.
Yeah. I mean, I've enjoyed doing this. It's actually given me something to do and work on. And I've enjoyed every minute of it, so thanks for asking me to do it with you.
Well, the way I see it is, it wouldn't be bad. Forget the language, it'd be absolute crap if I just talked for 20-odd minutes on my own. So, there was never a doubt in my mind I wanted you here with me. And it's like I was saying, I just hope people have at least enjoyed the conversations we've had. Maybe not the results we're talking about or the performances, but just in general, the idea of just mother and son just having a chat about the football. It's hopefully something different to maybe because I do recognise there's other options for Stoke City audiences out there, and I'd like to think we've offered something different for them.
Yeah. And I am a retired person, I'm not a young mum, so for me to do this, I never thought I'd do it.
It's
at
modern.
My age, do you know what I mean?
It's a bit of a modern role as far as trying to do something techie or...
Yeah, it is, and I thank you again for letting me do it with you.
Well, the way I'd like to just end this is, we have got a Discord server at the moment, at JJ's Productions. If you've got any suggestions for the vlog in the future, just leave them on the Discord server or in the comments section on YouTube, for the fact that it's places I look at regularly, and if you think of a way to improve it, I can always try and integrate it into the series. But equally, if you're an opposition supporter and you've just happened to tune in because maybe you saw a previous episode when your team was involved, I'm wondering what you'd like as far as interactions with away teams, because I try to, you two as well, we do try to include as much personal history, if you like, between clubs. It's not always easy because, for example, I remember the Brentford game early in the season, neither me or my mum had we didn't really have a lot of knowledge on Brentford, so we really caught cold that day. But there have been games in the season where we felt more confident talking about who we were playing against. So I am curious if there's anything the away supporters would think we can improve on.
I'm on Twitter as well, folks. Yes, I am on Twitter.
I'll leave both our Twitter handles on the screen as you're saying that. But yeah, it's definitely been a good first season. I mean, I've had some great viewership on some of these videos. If anything, I've enjoyed looking at the viewership for some of them, in the sense that we had good viewership for Aston Villa. Not long after, we'd had good viewership for Derby, and just on the outside, I was thinking, which one's going to have the better one, the Villa supporters or the Derby supporters? So it has been quite an interesting thing for me there, because I'm looking at it expecting away viewers more than home viewers at times. So it's quite interesting.
But if you'll spread the word around about us as well, we wouldn't mind new viewers, and see what they've got to say about us.
Yeah, we keep trying to improve it. I mean, from next season, we'd like to take away the game footage and have a more camera-based system, but just for now, it's easier on us. But like I say, we'll keep plugging away, and any suggestions, we'll keep trying to implement them. So
If there's something you don't like, please tell us. We won't be offended at all.
unless you say that our Stoke accent's bad, then we'll just tell you where to go.
Or if you want Mother to naff off, I don't mind, honestly.
I joke about the Stoke accent because, I'll be honest, there's a load of accents in this league that have got to be worse than Stoke. So, yeah, I'm going to say anyone wants to throw that rock at us, just beware of the glass house you're sitting in.
Right, I will retire now to my bed, and I'd just like to wish you all a happy new year, and I hope you all have a good one in every sense.
Yeah, I'm going to say he is hoping for a better new year for Stoke City, but hoping that everyone who's listening has a happy new year as well.
Okay, it's bye-bye from me, folks.
Bye-bye from Josh as well. Hope to see you again soon.
Bye.